Hi, I'm Sashwati Sarkar, and you're watching The Times of India. Today, we'll dig deep into the mindsets of Indian students who have their eyes set on global education. Starting from Ivy League obsession to the rise of Ireland, Japan, and Singapore as serious contenders to the popular Big Four. What are driving these choices? Also, we need to find out, are Indian students actually chasing purpose or running behind prestige? Today, we will be guided through all these sharp shifts by a very respected voice in the student counseling space. Yes, we're talking about Khushbu Taparia Bedi, the head of the career cell at the Sanskar Valley School, Bhopal. Welcome to the show, Khushbu. So, Khushbu, you've counseled thousands of students. What are the three biggest shifts that you've observed in what students want from their study abroad journeys today, vis-a-vis 5 years back?
Sure. So, Ivy Leagues and selective universities were always the holy grail of for a lot of students and parents. But now I see there is a shift. Before parents would go after brand value and societal approvals, but now students are very clear of what they want to study. So, the purpose of education is now driving their study abroad plans over prestige. They want to understand what they want to study and which university, which program will be able to deliver those kind of courses. What will be the syllabus breakup? They really deep dive and do their research properly for what they really want to study. That's one. So that is course over universities. The second is professor over universities. Students are really smart. They actually track which professor is doing what research, and if that aligns with what the student is passionate to study, they actually want to go ahead, even if it means a university not heard of, but they are passionate to study or do research under that particular professor. They would just go for that. And the third I see is, security, proximity, and affordability. So, with so much of political hustle going around in the world, there are a lot of parents, they feel that if the student geographically is, closer to their home country, they feel more safe, they feel more secure. And the second is affordability. When I know of students who have let go of universities like Harvard and Stanford to actually study at a state university just because they got a full ride scholarship. So students are now mindful that they don't want to enter their education journey with a huge debt coming out of their education journey.
Right. So, in a landscape where brand names and Ivy Leagues cloud judgment, what would be your top suggestions to parents and students to help them refocus on what suits them in the long term, what suits them best for attaining their long term goals, and also to nudge them towards purpose over prestige?
Absolutely. Brilliant question. So, brand names often cloud or blind our judgment. But I think it's now time that we talk about fit over fame. So, the right student fit, the right university fit, the right program fit, the right country fit, I think is more important to talk about. And it's time we change the narrative. So it's important that we de-glamorize these prestigious universities and really get down to statistics. Why should a student go to Harvard? If the student has decided to go to Harvard with a purpose, that's great. But if a student just is going after prestige and saying, I don't care what major, what program, it's just like buying a Ferrari to drive in a village. So you need to have that clarity of why a particular university. what I mean by statistics is, I think the focus now needs to be that brand always does not guarantee success. There are so many stories. I've myself lived in the US, and I heard of so many students saying that, oh, I study in this particular university, very unheard of, but they actually got placed in companies like Google and Microsoft. So these real stories, students coming out of humble universities but getting placed without any debts in education, I think they have a strong story to tell. Also, it's important to understand what is the employment statistics of a particular university. What are the alumni stories? What are the co-op options? What are the internship options? How much are our students being taken care of by the international offices? What's the career cell support for international students? So parents and students now, I urge them to do their research properly and not just be blinded by rankings and brand names. Real stories will actually take you to a more educated decision. And I think another thought is dare to explore new geographies. There are so many parents and students who are now venturing out to unknown territories geographically, talking about the big four countries, the UK, US, Australia, and Canada.
Yeah, they are venturing out of these traditionally favorite study abroad destinations. True.
Absolutely. And there are many reasons to do that, right from affordability to less competition, that means more opportunities, immigration friendly countries. Also, students are now smart enough to map their interest with the industry flourishing in a particular country. For example, one of my students studying at Sanskar Valley School in Bhopal, Kriti Johari, she was very sure of studying pharma. And she knew that Ireland is the best destination to study that program.
That was what I was coming to. My next question was about Ireland only. What a coincidence.
Right.
So my next question was, for students in tech, pharma, or finance, how does Ireland compare with the traditional destinations in the UK or US?
So I think Ireland is definitely giving US and UK a serious run for their money. When it comes to industry, you asked about tech, pharma, and finance,
right,
which all these three industries actually come under critical skills. So to all the students and parents listening to this, you should know that Ireland has a list of critical skills. And if a student is studying that program in Ireland, the chances of they being placed is extremely high. Now, industry-wise, Ireland is actually the headquarter. It's just like the Silicon Valley of Europe because it's headquarter for Google, Meta, Apple, Microsoft, LinkedIn, all the top tech companies. And 9 out of 10 pharma companies have their presence in Ireland. Also, the finance companies, Citibank and JP Morgan, Deloitte, they all recruit directly from campuses. So Ireland is absolutely the right destination. It's not a backup destination, but I would say it is actually the destination for a lot of these majors. And these Irish universities, they have absolutely cutting edge programs which are preparing students to be industry ready. They are working on the skill gap that students in a lot of countries, they feel that, academically the program is very strong, but that's not really preparing them for the industry. But Irish universities are taking a lot of care of that. And the last thing is work visa. There is no red tapeism here. It's very clear cut that if you've done an undergrad program in Ireland, that means you will be getting 1 year post-study work visa. And if you're doing that 1 year post-grad program in Ireland, you will surely be getting 2 year work visa. So it gives a lot of clarity to students and a huge opportunity stands out.
You were talking about a student of yours. That was a personal anecdote that you were sharing. If you could please continue and share that.
Yeah. So my student Kriti Johari, she decided to study pharma in Ireland, and she decided that destination. She didn't apply to any other country, but just Ireland and backup India, just because she knew that that country has the right opportunity for her, and the research that the professors are doing in her field is exactly what she wants to do. And trust me, I recently visited Ireland. Um, Students in pharma, they say we guarantee 100% placement. Literally, companies are standing at the doors of these universities that please give us resources.
So, Khushbu, you were, sharing one anecdote of a student who made a uh, uh, very unique choice.
Yes. So one of my students from Sanskar Valley School, she joined UCD, University College Dublin, Ireland for her pharma program. And, it was such a mindful, educated decision on her part that she exactly knew that she wants to do pharma, and she knew that Ireland is the only destination that she wants to apply for many reasons. One is the industry in pharma um, in Ireland is actually blooming. She knew that the placements are going to be 100% there. She knew the professor with whom she wanted to do the research is right there at UCD. And guess what? She got 100% scholarship. So she's studying at UCD on a full ride for her pharma program. So those are the kind of opportunities that Ireland has for students.
What are the top 3 universities in Ireland that Indian students should have on their radar, and what are they best known for?
Yes. So, in my personal visit to Ireland, I very closely observed and experienced Irish universities. But my top three picks, if you ask me, would definitely be Trinity College Dublin. It's a regal university, very, very inspired by Oxford and Cambridge.
Okay.
It has amazing programs in social sciences, pharmacy, biomedical, and AI computer science. The alumni coming out of this university are no less than presidents, politicians, writers, poets. So I would highly, highly recommend Trinity College Dublin. It's right in the middle of city Dublin, the capital of Ireland. It's a beautiful place. That's one university when I entered and I experienced, I felt I should be studying all over again. It's that nice. The second is University College Dublin, where some of our students are studying and they rave about it. It's one huge campus just outside Ireland. I mean, just outside Dublin. It's a beautiful campus. Again, offers a lot of scholarships. That's something that students want to look out for. The flagship programs there are business, finance, performing arts, literature, um, definitely engineering, data science, and medical and pharma. The third top university that I'll recommend is University of Galway, a beautiful location right on Atlantic Ocean. And when I say that, it definitely means makes a good spot to study marine sciences, life sciences, med tech, biomedical, and of course, public policy and human rights are a very strong program that they have. Apart from all this, two, three more recommendations I cannot miss out on are RCSI. This is one university specially dedicated for medical sciences, pharma, nursing, and biotechnology in Ireland, right in Dublin. Apart from that, Limerick and Cork. These are also two universities that students should be looking at.
Understood. Understood. So, moving on to our next question. Studying medicine in Europe versus India, how do they really compare in terms of cost, quality, recognition, and long term career prospects?
Yes. A major shift that we see for doctors, enthusiasts for medicine is they have understood that, India, we all know that NEET is a very, very serious, very rigorous entrance exam, which is not a cup of tea for all the students. The second is that there are very few private medical institutions in India that are very prestigious. More prestigious are the public universities, public
Right.
medical
Right.
in India. Now, if a student is not able to get the medical seat in any public university, that means they have to be ready to shell out crores of Indian rupee to get a management seat in a medical school. Now, Europe. Why Europe? Because one, they are okay to accept a low NEET score, or they have their own entrance exam and interview, which after the preparation of NEET is almost like a cakewalk for Indian students.
Oh, that's a new revelation to me. Yeah.
Yes. The second thing is it's very affordable.
More
from
affordable than
20
the Indian colleges, like the Indian private
Yes.
colleges. Okay.
Yes, definitely. 20 lakhs to 60 lakhs Indian rupees is the fees in a Europe university, which is very affordable compared to paying crores for a management seat in India. Also, the universities that there are ranked with very good modern infrastructure, state of the art facilities. The academic part is very tough. It is actually, students have to understand that getting an admission is not so difficult, but sustaining there is difficult because they're academically very strong and the marking system is also very strict. They also believe in very strong clinical training, and their placements in Europe and outside of Europe is also very strong. The beautiful thing for Indian students is that Medical Council of India accepts these degrees, and the student coming back from these European countries to India wanting to practice here, they have to write this exam FMGE, which is Foreign Medical Graduate Exam. If you clear this, you are ready to practice in India. The top 3 universities that I'll recommend to students to consider in Europe for medicine are Charles University in Prague, Semmelweis in Budapest, and Debrecen in Hungary. These are 3 very good medical schools there.
Why do you recommend them? If you could explain a bit.
Yeah, because like I said, we have our students studying there. We are getting very good feedback. It is affordable, very good education, but tough on academics. They have to be sustainably performing on their examinations. One challenge that I would like to highlight is the language. Of course, these are all English medium programs, but when you're practicing, you have to deal with the locals. The locals will be your patients, right? So you have to have that mental ability, openness to get a little, comfortable with the local language. But otherwise, the programs are doing great. Student experience is very good.
Coming to culture and language challenges, we've seen that Japan and South Korea offer cutting-edge STEM programs, right?
Yes.
And also design thinking, I guess. Yeah. So, but the cultural and language challenges are very real over there. What kind of student mindset and preparation is needed to thrive in these countries?
Yeah, very true. So the fun part, I would say that, some of my students are very, very fascinated by Japanese anime and Korean pop and Korean dramas. So,
K-pop.
Yes. So a lot of my students would walk up to me and be like, ma'am, I'm just influenced and very curious to experience Japanese culture or Korean culture. I want to live in that country, live like them. They are so innovative. They are perfectionists, and the industries are blossoming there. We want to learn their language. It is very affordable, close to our country, and a lot of scholarships available. Like Japanese mixed scholarship is one sought after scholarship for any international student. So, yes, the first thought is of fantasy, but I always like to give my students a check, a reality check. And I always say that you need to have a mindset as adaptive as a chameleon to really survive and sustain in these two countries. It, it is absolutely a test of resilience, because the cultures are very different. They are overly disciplined. Something like hyper punctuality is a part of their culture. They are overly
Right.
disciplined people.
Japan, yes.
Yeah, and our students are not really adaptive, and they've not seen that side of discipline. So I always tell them that the Indian community there will be very small. Language barriers, okay. The English language will be there, in which you will be taught your program. But to live in that country, you again need to be very open. You need to observe, adapt, very open to ask questions, just shed away all your shyness in India and then step into these countries, very open to explore and immerse in their culture. If you are not ready for it, then it's better you consider some other country.
Right. So, Khushbu, we have seen that Singapore is consistently ranked for top education. But, you know, but there is also one truth about Singapore. The academic pressure is huge. When would you recommend Singapore over, say, UK or Australia for an Indian student?
Yes. So I personally have a lot of respect to Singapore academics and the job market there. But we all have to accept that the admission in the top Singapore universities, namely NTU, NUS, and SMU, these three universities' admission is extremely, extremely challenging. And, students, even with 98 or 99, sometimes are just rejected. And we don't know why. So there is no scale, there is no yardstick to say that, okay, if the student gets this much grades, they will definitely be accepted in these top Singapore universities. That's one. The second thing is the academics are absolutely high pressure. So students who are really prepared to sustain very high academic pressure should only be considering Singapore as the destination for their education. They are very highly structured in terms of pedagogy. And the job market in Singapore is absolutely merit based, and continuously high expectations will be there in terms of performance. So, I always say a student who wants to focus more on extracurriculars, a student who wants to look out for liberal education, a student wanting a laid back lifestyle will definitely not fit in to Singapore education culture. Now, one very interesting thing why students want to consider Singapore is the tuition grant scheme of Singapore government. That's very interesting. So the thing is, if a student commits that after their education in these top universities, public universities in Singapore, they are ready to spend few years in Singapore working for Singapore, their tuition fee is actually slashed to 50%, which becomes very...
How does it work? Like, if they decide to stay back and work for them and contribute
Yeah.
to Singapore's economy, how does it work? Like, they have to tell the university?
Yeah, no. So the first thing is that they have to be accepted by the university. They have to get admission.
Right.
And once they are admitted, there are two tracks available. One is that you pay full fees, just study and go back to your home country or wherever you want to go. And the second track is that you commit yourself some extra years in Singapore, and then the university slashes your tuition fee. So it becomes very affordable. And of course, students get a lot of exposure and experience in terms of work. A lot of students also want to prefer Singapore because there's a shorter cultural leap, you know. Very close to India, the cultures are so alike. It's not absolutely like stark difference is not there. Of course, proximity to India, one direct flight, and you're there in Singapore. But also, living expenses are very high in Singapore. So, these are some things that students should consider before really choosing Singapore as their destination, because sustaining in Singapore is as difficult as it is to get admission in Singapore universities.
Why is it so difficult to sustain in Singapore?
Because the academic pressures are very high.
That way.
That
In terms of
Yeah.
living cost?
living cost is definitely high in Singapore compared to other countries.
Like?
Living expense in terms of housing, food.
No, I mean, living expense is higher in Singapore than other countries. When you say other countries, what countries do you mean?
So, for example, I recently visited Ireland. I would say living cost in Ireland is not so expensive if I compare the living cost. Living in UK and US is very expensive. Now, Singapore doesn't have it's is such a small country, right? You can't choose to really live in a countryside of Singapore and make your expenses a little cheaper. It's just one little country and you have to just survive there.
Right. So now I'll come to the concluding question of this very meaningful discussion. Students spend sleepless nights. In the application season. What's one story, maybe a breakthrough moment or a student struggle that stays with you emotionally?
So, truthfully, there are so many stories, having been a career counselor for 8+ years and in the education space for 13, 14 years now, actually. But one story that's very close to my heart is of two boys. They were twins. I helped them in their admission process. And out of nowhere, I get a call from their mother when these boys were in 11th grade and just started sharing that, her husband is not well. They're going through a financial crisis, but the boys are very hardworking and very, very capable. And I need help. That how do I secure their future in terms of education? And I decided to just help them. It just stuck to my heart, and I was like, I think we all are there to earn and have our careers, but also some things for good karma. And the journey started there. I started hand holding them, guiding them in terms of their profiling, their what can be the right careers for them, what can be the right professions, right country, right course. But I knew one thing, that these boys would need substantial scholarship to really make it to their dream universities. Worked very hard, 2 years, very, very diligently. We worked on their essays, their applications, interviews, and the boys worked hard as well, as much as I did with them. Finally, Shashwati, it's just a moment of so much joy that midnight I got a call from these boys saying that, ma'am, you've just made our dream come true. We've secured a 2 crore 17 lakh scholarship from our university. And now we are headed, head on, razor sharp towards our goal. So that was, I think, a very fulfilling moment for me as a career counselor, to see these two very capable boys who are capable of doing so much good to the country and to the world have their wings now.
That is a story that will stay with me also now. Thanks a lot for such an informative discussion, such insightful pieces of information. And thanks a lot for your time, Khushbu. We'll look forward to many more such interviews, such discussions and conversations with you.
Absolutely. My pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.